And it's like, that's horrifying to me. I do get it, though. I do get your point. It's like, it's the cost of freedom. It's the cost of liberation. Um, the last thing I want to hit you with, Dimitri sent me a video. Um, I think you know the chaos that took place on my channel. Dimitri gives a point of, Dimitri gives a point of view. You're laughing. That stuff was just drama, man. Dimitri gives a point of view, and he makes this point of saying effectively that Russia and China should do more in regards to Gaza. That these are, you know, if you're looking at countries that are this kind of new fulcrum of the world of sorts, that they need to exert themselves more on this issue. One of my other guests comes on after listening to it, takes great offense at this idea that China should do more. He has his reasons for it that I think he's been a bit hyperreactive on, but put that to the side. I understand his hyperreactivity, especially living in the States, being Chinese, living in America. And he loses it and goes full bore at Dimitri and full bore at this kind of point about, there is no inherent push under the Genocide Convention for states to act unilaterally and everything else. And that could be an argument, right? I mean, if you look at the convention, if you're looking at Article 1, Dimitri probably makes a stand on Article 1. KJ is probably making a stand on the other articles that allow states to effectively hide and not do anything if they don't want to. Dimitri sent me the video that you and him had on this issue. Give me your take. Give me your take on this. I mean, is it a situation that China should do more? Is it a situation? Because from my point of view, all of these states should do more, not just one or two. And as I kept pointing out to KJ, nobody's picking on China. It's all of them, all of these European states that are complicit, all of these Gulf monarchs, they give all of these speeches, oh, how bad Israel is, while simultaneously you're having ships heading from Saudi Arabia with oil going to Israel. Turkey, Erdogan, who comes out, says Netanyahu is Hitler, and yet works with that Hitler to overthrow the government of Syria. So it's not like we're picking on China on this. If anything, we're pointing to all of the states, not just one. But since China got pulled out of this, give me a point of view on this in regards to other states and their ethical, legal, moral, imperative responsibility to act.
Well, first off, I think we go back to this concept of sovereignty, right? If we are honest with ourselves, Turkey is not a sovereign state. The Gulf countries are not sovereign states. They're all vassals of Washington. And in the world currently, there's very little sovereigns. China is one of those sovereigns. Russia is one of those sovereigns. Iran is one of those sovereigns. Yemen is one of those sovereigns. It's doubt. The Sahel Confederacy is one of those sovereigns, right? The rest of Africa, for instance, you could even argue that South Africa is almost a sovereign. It's not a full sovereign, right? So it's one thing to say the Saudis and the Qataris are collaborating and the Turks with Israel behind the scene. It's another to say that they have the ability to actually not collaborate. They're sovereign. They're not sovereigns. They're vassals. So if China and Russia want to sell this idea of multipolarity, then they should show how a sovereign acts. And no one until now is asking for China to intervene militarily or Russia to intervene militarily. That's a little bit maybe illogical at this point because they haven't moved anywhere close to that. But what is realistic is for China to use its economic weight. It is the number one partner with practically every country in Africa and Latin America. And it can say, I will not trade with anyone that trades with Israel. It is also I think the second largest trade partner of the Zionist colony itself. It can stop trade itself with the Zionist colony. It's not going to lose much money in comparison to its overall global trade, income. So, to say that China, which is one of the only sovereigns on this planet, it's enough for them to just talk at the United Nations and Security Council as an example of their solidarity with the Palestinians. That's a cop out. And I want to say that I think KJ, uh, in a way, resembles the problematic realities of BT News. And I know I'm going to get you in bigger trouble right now.
Make
But,
your point. Make your point.
you know, BT News is a family owned business of the Beckers, who have been kind of gatekeepers in the left uh, progressive movement in the whole Northeast with their PSI and other initiatives, where it's clear that they have a monopoly on these things. And BT News is, making $2.5 million a year. BT News, this is their income from monetization. Is out there for people to look at the RSI, the ISI, whatever the
I
revenues
know what you mean.
agency.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I think it's clear they're problematic in these ways, right? And I know a lot of people in the northeast of the U.S. that were chased away from organizing spaces and so on by the PSI and the Beckers family. And if they want to be gatekeepers on this issue again, it's shocking to me because the language that me and or Dimitri used when talking about China is very diplomatic. It's not attacking China. It is
Right.
trying to, help China match the words with actions and without dragging it into a war. Honestly, if China just, uses its economic weight, it could have the rest of the world sanction and boycott the Zionist colony, without, pressuring, without changing anybody's trade issues. And it could incentivize other nations to have a boycott of the Zionist colony, and it's not using it. And to be attacked for saying such light uh, things that are,
Criticism. Yeah.
light criticism. Shows you again a behavior of gatekeeping.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I didn't quite get it. Um, it was extreme, hyperbolic. And I'm saying this as somebody who loves KJ to death. Love him to death. I've known KJ for years, and I've never seen him that angry about something that seemed mild. And it wasn't even isolating to China. It was talking about China and Russia using their weight in this process. And I guess from his point of view, look, I think, to be honest, I don't know if this is a BT News thing. From KJ's point of view, living in the United States, there has been a consistent effort to demonize China. Meaning, you can look at the polling, where the polling over the course of the years of how do you regard China, how do you regard Chinese people, you see it tick down, down, down over the years as they've made these attacks. And then to go to the China virus, they're stealing our jobs. They're doing this, they're doing that. You've had attacks on people who are of Asian origin. Um, like African Americans, it can make you hyperreactive sometimes when you're confronting certain issues. And your view of it may not entirely be, let's say, it's clear cut. It makes you more aggressive in defense on some of this stuff. That said,
I would understand this if it wasn't actually beneficial to Chinese image as better than Western powers. If China actually takes clear action in support of the Palestinian people, not just so. Like, the whole world is already looking at China and saying, look at those amazing cities, look at this amazing public transportation system, all of these things. And, already talking down at the West, at their regression. And if we're all the whole world is looking at the West, throwing away international law, human rights law, and so forth. This is actually a chance for China to take the lead on the issue of international law and human rights. Supposedly, China and Russia and BRICS are trying to preserve international law and international human rights, while the West is destroying them. Supposedly, Russia and China through the you know the security system, the OIS that was just happening, the meetings, want
Right.
to reform the international governing systems to make it more representative of people. Well, taking action, even if it's not militarily, to end the genocide in Palestine reaffirms the leadership of China and Russia on these issues. But what we are seeing right now is China and Russia, in reality, just adopting the same propaganda that the West has been doing for 30, 40 years about human rights and international law, while not taking action. So this is actually weakening China's and Russia's respect internationally, and making them sound as hypocritical as the West was 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
anyone who loves China and wants the best for them should be, lobbying them to match their actions to their words in terms of international governance.
No, I do get your point. I totally get your point, and I don't disagree with that point at all. I've had this conversation with him. I guess I think, from my point of view, these are realist countries. This is not an ideological point of view from these countries. They go with realist logic, and in their mind, China, they deal with everybody. So even, yes, we're technically working with the Russians, but we're also giving weapons or selling stuff to the Ukrainians that can be used for weapons to kill those same Russians that we're effectively working with. We're an open vendor to everybody, even though I get the argument, right? It's like, if you're making this argument that we're better, we're on the advanced edge of human rights. We're all of these things in regards to progression, whereas the West is supporting and backing and putting billions into a genocide. Well, we're going to take economic action to put pressure to stop it. No, the argument writes itself. I totally get it. I totally get the argument. I think from his point of view, it was more about the sense of narratives being created to kind of somehow put this as China's fault or China's responsibility, when really it's the Western nations that are the ones that are effectively backing, supporting, paying for, and giving moral cover to genocide. And I guess my thing was, dude, that's not what it is. That's not what's happening. People are pointing out that if China is this kind of superpower, and there's a superpower, they're making this argument for human rights, human progress, all of these things, you can put your money where your mouth is in real terms. No, I get it. I totally get it. And I don't disagree with you on this. Laith, you are awesome, man. You're awesome. And just to give the audience, I don't think I gave the bite. I think we jumped into the conversation as soon as you got here. Laith Marouf, award-winning multimedia producer, media policy law consultant, focused on issues of liberation, decolonization from indigenous nations to Arab peoples, and building broadcasting capabilities for misrepresented and underrepresented communities around the world. You can find him on Free Palestine TV, that's on Twitter, or freepalestine.video. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
See you
Keep up the good
soon.
work. You
Bye,
have a good
Jamal.
one. You be safe. Have a good one. Bye-bye.